So welcome. If you have just joined us, this is Corey Sievers from the Savvy team, along with
Linda Barker here, joining you from Scarborough.
And you'll be hearing from a number of the different leaders in different groups connecting in on this particular webinar to learn about the Savvy Slimming secrets. So we'll be sharing with you sustainable, proven weight management, detoxification, and optimal wellness programs. And we put it like that because, you know, the information we'll be covering isn't just about slimming down. We have an underlying wellness focus. We want to help you to, to grow healthier, to reach a higher level of wellness. And so if you've not really explored our wellness philosophy and our wellness, it's not that hard concept, we encourage you to do that via a CD or a live event or one of our webinars as well. So since we're talking about weight management in Australia, we've got some big problems. We've overtaken the US as the world's most obese nation. So 26% of adult Australians are now obese. That's 1 million more than the last calculation. And wait till you hear why. Wait till you hear what's going on. Amazing stuff. And yet most of the weight loss programs out there don't tackle the underlying reasons why we're now a fatter nation. It's not just about our diet. It's not just about that. Certainly diet misinformation about what's healthy and what's not is a big issue, and we help you tackle that with the information we share in the Savvy team, but wait till you hear the underlying reasons. So we also ask up front, will you help us spread the word? Let us help you first. But just like little Trevor McKinney in the concept of pay it forward, he said, if I helped 3 people with a needed favor and they helped others, he said, we could change the world. Well, help us to share this message in your community, because what we offer in the Savvy team is free community-based education and information sessions just like this. We provide this information free of charge. We provide support free of charge. Yes, we provide options to change brands, that's by the fact that we partner with global wellness brand Modere in order to help you, to make changes. But what we do is really community-based education and information. Your choice to partner with Modere is a wise choice in our belief, but that's sort of the next level of what we do in the Savvy team. So let's deal with the issues that affect weight gain. Because right now, most people are just treating the symptoms, not the underlying causes. And so just like our wellness philosophy states, that treatment paradigm will never get you to optimal wellness. It'll get you to not fat rather than healthy and slim and vibrant. And so scientific discoveries have shown that there are several simple obstacles causing a lack of success in weight loss. And if you're just focusing on losing weight, the symptom, part of the treatment paradigm, as we talk about in our illness-wellness continuum, in our wellness it's not that hard philosophy, without also addressing the underlying cause, then you're likely just to yo-yo back and not be able to sustain your weight loss. So what are some of the underlying causes here? And, this particular session, we won't be going into detail in any of this sort of stuff, but just know our programs help you to tackle this. Hereditary factors, psychological issues, liver and bowel toxicity, body acidity and toxicity, hormonal and endocrine imbalances, and nutritional deficiencies all affect your ability to stay slim, lose weight, or whatever, okay? So here are 7 top factors that could be making you fat. You might want to write these down. Number 1, endocrine disrupting chemicals. And I just covered that before earlier. If you're part of, part of the whole program that we're doing here, if you've just joined us or you're watching this perhaps as a recording, then explore the issue of endocrine disrupting chemicals. The World Health Organization has even released some of these chemicals they've titled as obesogens. They directly trigger obesity. Nutritional imbalances are another factor. Diet misinformation. For example, sugar and starch is okay, and you should be having, 8 to 11 servings of grains every day. and fat is bad. That is diet misinformation that is directly making us fat according to all of the latest research. If your doctor's not telling you that, then the doctor is simply not up to date with what the latest research and the latest research scientists and doctors are all finding, that is misinformation. Plus, the fact that we should be eating a low-fat diet was based on flawed science from the 50s as well. So, old news, but old habits die hard. Stress and lack of sleep also can make you fat. Lack of exercise, of course, underlying infections and illness, and inflammation as well. So, parasites and fungal infections and all of that, all can cause problems, and we help you deal with that. And then there's gene expression, not your genetics, but how your genes are expressing and whether you've taken control of that by our simple wellness philosophy of decreased chemicals, increased nutrition, and open the detox pathway. So hopefully you're ready for some surprising information right now that, might shock you. But a recent study has found that it was easier for you to be skinny in the 1980s. Now, that's assuming you were alive before the 1980s, but ultimately it was easier for people to be skinny in the 1980s. And that's not just with the Jane Fonda workout either. There's actually science behind this. So if you're having troubles losing weight, then there's some underlying reasons that you're not tackling. And that's why you're having troubles. And this is what science has found. Let me take you through that. So people who eat and exercise the same amount, this is from the Journal of Obesity Research and Clinical Practice. People today who eat and exercise the same amount as people 20 years ago are still fatter. It's harder for adults today to maintain the same weight as those 20 to 30 years ago, even at the same levels of food intake, calories, and everything, as well as exercise. Can you see what we're talking about? Most people are still trying to deal with the symptom, I'm not exercising enough, or I'm eating too much, without realizing that the studies are showing that with the same food intake and the same exercise, it's actually harder to maintain weight than it was 20 to 30 years ago. People today are about 10% heavier than people were in the 1980s, even if they follow the exact same diet and exercise plans. Why? Why? What? Because these people who are fatter are not taking care of the Savvy Team's 3 underlying issues that cause all disease and ailments and fat loss, fat gain, and all that sort of thing. This is what the science found. It directly backed up what we've been teaching for more than a decade. That number one, the research said that people are exposed to more chemicals that can be weight gain inducing. World Health Organization called them obesogens. Well, we've been saying that for years and years and years. The World Health Organization came out in 2012 saying that these ingredients can be endocrine disrupting. So we say to you that number one, you've got to decrease chemical exposure. Well, thank you to the Journal of Obesity Research that just backed us up. The use of prescription drugs has risen dramatically since the 70s and 80s. Well, thank you. That still contributes to the number one thing that we're talking about. You've got a lower chemical exposure. Remember, we talk about there are 5 sources of toxins you need to know about. Home exposure, medication, food, environment, and auto-intoxication. So we've been teaching that for probably, at least 5 years. So thank you to the Journal of Obesity Research for backing us up again. And the study authors they think more research is needed. They think that the microbiome, that is the gut bacterial colonies and the internal health of people now, has somewhat changed between the 1980s. Somehow it's changed. So, and they state that it's well known that some types of gut bacteria make a person more prone to weight gain and obesity. Well, the number 3 step that we talk about is to open and optimize the body's detox pathways. Well, the gut is both a detox pathway and a way of absorbing nutrition. And so our programs help you to optimize that and optimize your microbiome. But the other thing too is your microbiome will begin to change immediately you introduce healthy bacteria like the probiotics that we use and recommend, as well as changing your diet. Because if you're eating junk foods and high carbohydrate diets and not high fat, moderate protein and nutrient-rich vegetable diets, your microbiome actually adjusts to the food that you're eating. So you can begin to change that simply by changing your diet. Your microbiome will adjust and help you stay slimmer. Interesting research. So you'll see more of that. We'll end up putting some of that up-to-date research on the Healthy Wealthy Wise blog. So, it's great that you're tapped in with what we do in the Savvy team. So I mentioned the World Health Organization there, and just to back this up, to explain to you that the World Health Organization found that obesity can be triggered from early exposure to chemicals. Even if you're exposed to chemicals in utero, you could end up with obesity throughout your entire life. So it's never too soon to turn off the toxic tap. What are some of the sources of endocrine disrupting chemicals? Well, they look remarkably familiar. This is from the World Health Organization, remarkably similar to what we just said to you, the 5 sources of toxins you need to know about. So, this information is out there, and we in the Savvy team not only help you to know about this, but support you in taking action for your health, the health of your family, and even then the health of the community around you. So let's look at genetics research and look at obesity. What's the difference here? These are 2 mice that are genetically identical. You ever heard that it's about the genes? I'm just genetically, it's in my family, obesity is in my family. Well, to a certain extent, that is true, but you don't need to be a victim to your genetics. You can take control of your genetics by what you do every day. And that's backed up by the science of epigenetics. So let me just show you this. What's the difference between these 2 mice? This mouse was exposed to endocrine disrupting chemicals, obesogens. It's a fat mouse. This mouse had no exposure. So my question to you, it's a small mouse. Can you afford to ignore exposure to endocrine disrupting chemicals? In the Savvy team, we make sure that we're not exposed to endocrine disrupting chemicals. Can nutrition make a difference? People say, all right, I get this chemical issue, but your number 2 thing is to increase nutrition. Does it really make a difference because I eat a healthy diet and all that? First of all, we've got to determine what is a healthy diet, because there's a lot of diet misinformation out there. But are supplements necessary? Can nutritional supplementation make a difference? Well, here are 2 genetically identical mice. Both of their mothers were exposed to endocrine disrupting chemicals. One got fat, exactly in alignment with the World Health Organization saying that even being exposed to an obesogen in utero can trigger weight gain throughout your life. What's the difference between these 2 mice when both were exposed? Both of their mothers were exposed. The fat mouse, the mother received a normal diet that was not supplemented, and yet the mother was exposed to endocrine disrupting chemicals. The mouse on the right, that's the skinny mouse, the mother was exposed to endocrine disrupting chemicals, but also received nutritional supplementation to optimize their genetics. So can you afford to ignore supplements when you don't even know what you've been exposed to, thanks to your mum, or in your early years, or maybe right now you're being exposed to things? Can you afford not to supplement when the science says that supplementation can change the expression of your genes as to whether you're fat or not?
Even in the next generation.
Even in the next generation. Can you afford to not take nutrition daily? And that's why we say that, just like there's 2 factors in causing people's, the underlying factors that cause illness, there's 2 key factors in weight gain: excessive toxicity and lack of nutrition. And this has just been verified. We're not going into depth, but it's verified. So we say that there's 1, 2, 3 to wellness. We could say that wellness, disease prevention, anti-aging, and slimming is as easy as 1, 2, 3, and 4. We'll be introducing you to the fourth one later. But really, decrease chemicals, increase nutrition, open the detox pathways, and eat savvy. Really, it's still 1, 2, 3, because we'll introduce you to what the Eat Savvy program is about, and it is in essence a dietary approach to help with the 1, 2, 3.